Welcome to the Detroit Association of Black Storytellers' Fourth Friday Story Hour. Tonight's theme is Spring is the Season for Rejuvenation. So come and rejuvenate with Dabs. Hi, I'm Jatu Gray, president of the Detroit Association of Black Storytellers and your host for tonight's program. I'll be introducing three of our fantastic storytellers. And tonight, I'm going to start with Leah Rich. Now, Leah was born and raised and educated in the city of Detroit. Along with her brother and sister, she grew up in a literacy-rich home where education and reading was promoted. As she became a Detroit Public Schools teacher, better known as DPS, she was introduced to the art of storytelling by one of her college professors. She began to attend storytelling festivals and workshops, and after she retired, Leah made a conscious decision to develop the storyteller inside her. I now present to you Leah Rich, who will share a story from her childhood entitled Little Girl Lost.
Looking back on when I was a little nappy-headed girl, then my only worry, what was Christmas, what would be my toy? Even though one time we didn't get a thing, we were happy with the joy the day would bring. I wish those days could come back once more. Why did those days ever have to go? I wish those days could come back once more. Why did those days ever have to go? I love them so. Oh, I've got visitors. I hope you don't think it's strange. But sometimes I like to reminisce about times long ago when life was different, when life was simple, when children could ride their bikes around the block and all was well, when children had 3 sets of clothing, one for play, one for school, and one for church. And you didn't wear your school clothes to play in. And you wouldn't wear your church clothes to school unless there was a special performance. And I also remember when dads went off to work and mothers were keepers of the home. Children walked to school in the morning. They returned home midday, ate lunch, and then back to school they went for an afternoon of learning. I remember those days vividly. You spent more time with mom than with dad. And if you did have a chance to spend time with dad, oh, that was so special. I can recall one such time as if it were yesterday. It was a hot, sweltering summer day. The sun was beaming high in the sky. I took refuge inside the house to escape the sweltering heat. I looked out the window and I could see birds flying to and fro, landing on branches and then flapping their wings and flying away. And oh, they sang so sweetly. Then I watched the squirrels scampering on the ground, running around the tree trunk, climbing up the tree, running down the tree, chasing one another in circles, playing tag. And then out of nowhere, I saw Mr. Evans' car pull up. Mr. Evans worked at the Chrysler factory with my dad. And he exited the car with his youngest son, Ricardo, in tow. My dad went out to greet him, and I could hear them talking as I listened. Mr. Evans had this very serious look on his face, and he said, "Why don't we take the babies to Belle Isle?" Well, I got so excited. My face lit up because I was the baby. I thought about it. No brothers, no sister, just me and my dad. What a treat. Well, my dad thought that was a very good idea. So he told Mr. Evans, wait a minute, I'll go and I'll tell my wife, and then I'll bring Leah out. So he told my mom that he and Mr. Evans were going to take us to Belle Isle. Now, he had never done this before, so it would certainly be an adventure. If my mom had any reservations, she didn't share them. So Dad took me out, and our dads put us in the back seat of the car. Mr. Evans put the car in gear, and he turned on the radio. And we could hear the Motown rhythm coming through the radio. Stevie Wonder sang Fingertips. The Supremes crooned, My World is Empty Without You. And then here came the soulful, sultry voice of David Ruffin and the Temptations, belting out, I Wish It Would Rain. We turned the corner and we proceeded down the street. We noticed water sprinklers watering the lawns. Children opening fire hydrants to escape the blazing heat, and girls playing hopscotch on the sidewalk. We continued to cruise down the street until we came to the foot of East Grand Boulevard. Then we descended down into the tunnel, which took us over Jefferson Avenue, and then we ascended up to the MacArthur Bridge. And we couldn't help but to see to our west this gigantic, enormous, humongous black stone. We got on our knees and we stared out the rear window as it got smaller and smaller. We entered into Belle Isle and we could see boats in the water. There were boats being gently moved by a breeze. And then there were other boats that were being propelled by the sound of a motor, and it's splashing water everywhere. We continued, and our little 5-year-old eyes were just mesmerized by all the exciting things we saw. We saw colorful kites being flown in the sky. And then Mr. Evans came to a point where he had to stop the car because right in front of us was a mother duck and her baby ducklings, all in a single file. And they crossed the street right in front of our car. As soon as all of them got across, Mr. Evans continued until he found the ideal parking spot. We got out and we walked across the street to the Detroit River. And there we saw huge freighters, two huge freighters, passing one another in opposite directions. And they saluted one another with the shrill sound of their horns. We watched for a little bit longer. Then we decided to go across the street to the ice cream truck. Our fathers brought us Nutty Buddies, and we devoured them. We continued on until we saw a herd of deer. And we couldn't help but stare into their big saucer eyes and watch their little tails wiggle from side to side and their ears flicker. Then our dads decided it was time to move on, to make our way toward the zoo. As we walked, I noticed a set of swings. And it was then and there that I made up my mind that I was going to swing on those swings before we left the island. We continued on to the Belle Isle Zoo. We could hear the elephants making the sounds that elephants make. We even heard a lion roaring. But we were scared. We didn't want to go in. So our dads decided to walk us to the Scott Fountain. We went over to the fountain and we watched the water as it ebbed out of the fountain, and then it came to a stop. Then it would start out over again, arching out and then stopping. And once again, arching out and stopping. We decided to move on. And Ricardo, being the boy that he was intrigued because he saw frogs in the island. And he tried to catch them. Couldn't though. Then our dads decided it was time for us to make our way back to the car. And we walked. And I started slowing down. They didn't notice. They got further ahead of me. And then when they passed the swing set, I made my move. I ran to the swing. I got on it and I pushed off the ground. First, my legs went back. Then I extended them in front of me. Then I went back again. And then front. And I went higher this time. Back again, further. And yet higher again, forward. And I did this for about 5 swings. Then I decided, oops, I better stop, jump off the swing, and catch up with Mr. Evans, my father, and Ricardo. But to my surprise, when I got off the swings, I didn't see anybody. I looked ahead, no one there. I turned around and looked behind me, nobody there. I looked to my left. I didn't see anybody. Then to my right. And then I turned all the way around. There was no one there. I was all by myself. I put my head down and I began to cry because it was then that I realized I was a little girl lost. And then after a few minutes, I heard the soft voice of a lady. She said, "Little girl, are you lost?" And I shook my head up and down and said, "Yes." I noticed she had a little girl with her that was a little younger than me. She took me by the hand and she walked me to the Belle Isle police station. The policewoman knew that I was scared and she sat me up on the counter and she gave me a red plastic fireman's hat to try to calm me down. I sat there for what seemed like hours, but in actuality, it was only about 10 minutes. And then in walked my dad. Boy, I was so glad to see him. He talked to the police woman for a little bit. Then he came to the counter. He lifted me up off the counter, put me on the ground, and he took my hand and we walked to the car. He didn't say anything to me. He didn't scold me. And we all rode home in silence. When we got home, I was so glad to see my mother, my brother, and my sister, and my dog, Penny. Now, I didn't tell them what happened, that I got lost. And I wonder to this day, did my dad tell my mother what happened? Because she never said anything to me about it. Neither one of them scolded me at all. And I was very surprised. But I believe that my dad and Mr. Evans learned a valuable lesson that day because they never undertook such an endeavor again. I believe that they learned that it was not always easy to keep up with children who could sometimes be mischievous. And I learned a very, very valuable lesson that day. And that was to never leave the protective covering of protection and covering of my parents.
And that was an awesome story. And on Belle Isle, you know, Belle Isle has a lot of stories that you probably don't know about. But that was a lot of fun. So now our next storyteller is C. Mackenzie. And she has been creating stories mixed with fact, foolishness, history, and opportunity for the listener to regain thoughts of a logical person having lived in multiple locations. She has a habit of plucking apart real situations and stretching them into a story with so many turns, but with an expression that whatever she says is true. C. Mackenzie has trained others in speaking tone, change of voice, and sheer creativity. I've been in her classes. I know. Right down to the show when she purposely wore an outfit that would show off the turquoise and white because the part of her story was to uplift her arms like wings. Ladies and gentlemen, C. Mackenzie presents a story concerning a northern man cemetery.
Hello, how are you? Oh, you're probably wondering why I'm standing here. Well, my name is Mackenzie, and I'm about to talk to you about a person who appeared in front of my friend and I totally unexpected. So here we go. Yes, it was hot, and it was one day, and we were walking home. And as we were walking, we were talking to one another, and we noticed down the way, we saw this man walking toward us, but we didn't pay any mind. But then we noticed there was just a ton of dust all around him as if he was in a car. And so he kept walking, and we thought, well, at least we'll say hello when we go back. But as he got closer and closer to us, he said, I'm not heading it. And we thought, oh, well, okay. And then he said, ladies, I am not heading it. And we thought to ourselves, well, what is it that you're not having today? What has got you in such a fuss today? Well, he said, now you know what's happening. We said, well, we know that we're walking home. It's late in the afternoon. Service has just ended. And we thought we'd stroll a bit. Why are you kicking up all that dust? And he said, I'm not having it. I don't know what's wrong with you all, but I'm just not going to have it. And we thought to ourselves, well, that's fine. I mean, we don't know what it is that you're not going to have, but I guess that's fine. And he said, do you know what's going on over here? Have you seen over to that side? Have you seen over to this side? Did you look at that cemetery? And we thought, well, no, we came from service. It's Sunday. We didn't have a service of a funeral style today. He said, well, did you look at that cemetery? And we said again, well, no. And he said, well, I'm not having it. I came all the way down here, and I'm here to tell you all that I'm going to fix this. And so we didn't move because he just stopped. And I said, I'm not going to have it. I'm going to fix this. You all are not going to do this racial stuff in the middle of somebody's death, and I am going to fix it so that it never happens again. And now we were intrigued, my friend and I. And so we thought, well, okay, so let me see if we can help you. Do you have a concern about people that are buried? Or do you have a concern about the cemetery? You seem to be mentioning two cemeteries. Might you tell us where they are? Perhaps we can help you. He said, I don't need any help. I'm just going to fix this whole thing. You people have come down here. You people have lived down here. You people have let this go on and go on and go on. And you got the white people over here. And you got the black people over here. And you haven't been separated from them. And I just at that point, and I had to explain it again. I said, first of all, I said, well, where might you be from? Because he didn't want to tell me. But since he kept saying, I have come down here, I figured he must be a northerner. Yes, you see, he must be a northerner because they come down here. And so it says, call me, son. Now, if you are asking for me and my friend to help you with this particular situation, well, it's true we could go back and get some shovels and maybe some gloves if we could find them because I just simply can't get these dirty. I mean, these are my white gloves. They match my outfit because what today is Sunday. And you see, I can go over to the cemetery. I can start with the black cemetery, as you call it, if you prefer, and I can dig them up and I can get to the bottom. And when I lift the casket top, I can talk to the people and say, you know, there's a man down here from the north, and he would like you to get up. And he would like you to go over there because he doesn't want you over here. And I think he doesn't want you over here because he wants you to go over there. And over there, I'm going to dig up those people. I think all those people need furniture, but it's colored people. We don't, but it's all right. We're talking to somebody else. And then, you know, it is a possibility that when I get there, when I dig them up, that they might say, well, now, wait, Miss Mackenzie, I'm a little bit tired. I've been laying down for a while. Let me bask in the sun first. The southern sun is so warm, and I haven't touched it in such a long time. And then when you get me over there, well, wait a minute, who's going to take my casket? Where am I going to lay down? I surely cannot be put in someone else's casket, but that would be inappropriate. Now I understand that you're trying to make somebody happy, but if they tell me that, they don't really want to go, or they do go and then we get over there and then they look down and like, you want me to jump down 6 feet? Do you know I'm old and my bones kind of wrinkle? And I, would have to tell them, well, yes, I do. I'd have to beg forgiveness on your behalf, sir. But I could see what I could do. I could talk to them and I could see if they could get over there for you. But then again, I have a question for you. Why are you doing that? Why are you bothering these people? And if it's my understanding correctly, and I think I do understand things correctly, like what it is you are trying to say that you're upset with, now that you've driven all the way down here, because I guess you didn't take the bus. I don't know. Sure, you took the plane because you're in this particular road. But you want them to move. And then you want the fine people over here to move. And you yourself are not going to help. You just want this taken care of. Now, you see, the problem, I think there's a problem with that. Because if you had studied your history, yeah, not mine, but your history, there's a man, oh, what was his name? I have to go and ask my friend if she wants to see if she can get some shovels so as to help you calm down. Oh, what is his name? Henry. Oh, I know. He said it, and I think he said it right, that in the South, that's what he began. I believe I got it correctly. He said the South will always be further along in race relations than the North. Because the South has already admitted that it's racist. You see, so since we've admitted this, and since we know we have this white cemetery over here, this black cemetery over there, that's just around the corner, because you didn't get there yet because you're in a fluff and got this dust all over the place, you would see that we already know this. We have already corrected this. We have already acknowledged what is known as the error of our ways. And we have gotten together. So now we don't just have white cemeteries. We don't just have black cemeteries. We have a new type of cemetery. And it is the mixed cemetery. You see, even if you died down here in this flock that you're going on about, you can go over there. We won't even put you in the white cemetery, even if you don't do that. We will put you in the mixed cemetery. Oh yes, over there it's right on the other highway. You can go and hang out with whoever you want to hang out with. So the one thing that I'm saying to you is you can just calm yourself down. And I'm trying to, it was your northern brother, Malcolm X. He said, about that time, well, he had a knockdown, and my friend, she came just by time. She put a chair behind him, tucked up under his knees, and he clapped down. Yes, she did. I know y'all would have liked to have seen that, but we took that out of camera. And then she did have to go into her pocketbook and pull out a little type of thing and popped it open because he was smelling salt. So we gave him that as well. And there he sat. Now, at this time, we left him there. I don't want you all to think that we were mean, but we did leave him there because he needed to come to himself. Yes. Oh, we left him there, tempted to breathe. And it was 90 some odd degrees. So I guess he didn't think about that before he started walking down the road without his sail behind him. But he needed to breathe. And so, let me just say, so as to help others who might want to continue for this conversation. When you see two ladies that have their girls, and I don't have my other one because in all of this foolishness, I lost it. Yes, he wants to talk to me about that because I have lost my other wife. Well, it's all right. It's all right. I will go on down to Main Street. I get another one. I get another cut. But just know this. When you have a learned individual, like a good man, you might take a step back and listen because it can help you in so many ways. Save you a lot of time, save you a lot of money, save you a lot of unnecessary argument. So, my suggestion before you come here on the road, it might be better that you turn on around, point the front of your car, your vehicle, whatever type it is. Make sure it's going north on 65. And that way it'll be easier for you to find your way to north of 72. And when you get to north 72, well, guess what? You will be going above Kentucky, and that will take you back up to the northern part. And then for some of y'all, you will find yourself either going to the left or going to the right or going straight up to 75. Yes, 65, 72, 65, all of it north. May y'all have a good rest of the summer. Thank you.
And that was C. Mackenzie. Wasn't that an interesting story? Didn't you love it? Well, we're going to take a brief pause to listen to this message. Then I'll be back to introduce to you the final storyteller of the night. Stay tuned.
The Detroit Association of Black Storytellers hope you are enjoying this program. We will send you back in just a moment. If you have enjoyed any of our broadcasts last season, 2020, and this season, 2021, or have been in person to see our concerts or endured it in our podcast, we would like you to take a moment and send us a donation so that we can keep bringing you these amazing stories in programs such as tonight. It is as simple as going to PayPal. Type in DetroitAbs@gmail.com. That's DetroitAbs@gmail.com and donate. Or mail us a check. The address is Detroit Association of Black Storytellers, P.O. Box 441004, 1401 West 4th Street, Detroit, Michigan, 48224. Your gift will be highly appreciated. Thank you. And now back to this amazing concert.
I hope that you find it in your heart to donate. And now I'm going to introduce to you our final storyteller, Pam Jones, AKA Jonesy, is an authentic storyteller and podcast host of Yes to PMS, where she advocates for women's health. The name of her story is That's What Happens When Facial Recognition Fails You.
Hello, everyone, TGIF, and welcome to Dab's Story Hour. Friday is my favorite day of the week because it signals the end of Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and it's the beginning of the weekend. But you know what? The OJ said it best. Check this out. Yes, let me tell you about it. The songwriter said, Monday through Friday, I'm dead on my feet. Now, can you imagine that? That must be very traumatic. But I guess it depends on which job you do and how you feel about it and how much work. But I can understand it could be very stressful. He also says, too tired to eat. Now, I can relate to that. Some days I come home, I don't want to cook, I just grab something to eat, and I'm just exhausted and burned out. He also says when he reads the paper, he falls fast asleep. Don't give me anything that requires me to think. I'm not looking at a newspaper, I'm not reading a book. So Monday through Friday is not a good time for me to do that. I don't know how I even made it through grad school. But as soon as Friday roll around, the songwriter says he lay all his weekly burdens down and he just a living for the weekend. Now I can relate to that too. But you know what? When you get a little bit older, the weekend takes on a whole new meaning. And for me, it's all about relaxation, rejuvenation, releasing stress, light entertainment, and a whole bunch of other things that help calm and relax me. So what I like to do is share a story with you on how I like to relax. One of the many ways. My husband and I are both movie buffs, and we like watching movies. He likes to stay at home mainly and watch them on our big screen. And I like to go into a theater every now and then and watch it on their big screen. So this particular weekend, like most, was no different. He selected a movie, and I like for him to pick the movies because he's pretty good at picking out the kind of movies that I enjoy. He's basically already vet them and seen that it's something that I would enjoy, and so he has it all prepared. We get our favorite snacks, we get our favorite drinks together, we get our blanket, we cozy up in the chair. Everything is already laid out, it's stress-free, and we prepare for a great movie. And boom, there it is. We sit back, we relax, and we watch the movie. Now, usually that's how it goes. Very smooth, very stress-free, and then it's over. But on this particular night, something different happened that kind of changed up the mood. We were sitting there all intense, and I do mean all intense into the movie. The plot was thick. It was a great cops and robbers story, and we were there watching it. And all of a sudden, someone came on the screen that I recognized. And before I knew it, I jumped up on the edge of my seat and I said, "Hey, I know her." And I looked at the lady. She was in the police uniform, and I knew the ladies. You know how it is, how excited you be sometimes when you see someone you hadn't seen for a long time. I mean, I hadn't seen her for a while, so I was really excited. Now, my husband on the other end, he hadn't said anything yet. He was still sitting there, calm and cool. And so before I knew it, I said it again. "I know that lady." And he said, okay, you know her, all right. In other words, sit back, be quiet, and let's finish watching this movie. Now you see, he's doing to me what I normally do to him. And that's because I don't like talking through the movies. Now, there are some times when it's necessary, but I guess this wasn't necessary, at least from his perspective. Whatever. Well, the movie might as well have ended right there for me because I couldn't focus anymore on the plot, the movie, what it was about, or anything. I immediately went into a thinking mode. Where do I know her from? I started thinking about school. I thought about school first. I started from an adult school when I was in college. Did I know her from there? Then I went all the way back to elementary, and I could not picture her in a school setting. So I moved on past that. Maybe I know her from work. Okay, I got to thinking about all the jobs that I had. Did I know her from this job or that job? So I kept thinking to myself, and no, that wasn't it. I didn't know her from work. Maybe church, that's it. So I thought about the churches that I had attended, tried to picture her in the church. No, that wasn't it either. I know. She belonged to one of the organizations that I used to belong to. No, that wasn't it. Well, I don't know where I know her from, but the one thing I know for sure is I'm pretty good when it comes to someone's face or their voice. Now, I'll forget your name in 2 seconds, but I'll never forget a face and never forget a voice. So I sat there the whole time we were watching the movie, and just trying to think, where did I know her from? And it just would not come. It just would not come. So believe me, as soon as that movie was over, I took off up them stairs. I ran up those stairs and I jumped on the computer and I started Googling the name of the movie. Now, I guess I could have sat down there and waited for the credits to roll, and then I would have known what her name was. But I was impatient. I had already sat down there way too long. I needed to know who this lady was. So I finally found her name. I told you I knew that lady. See, I don't forget a face. I don't forget a voice, but I may forget a name. I knew exactly who she was. It confirmed that I knew who she was. Now, by this time, my husband is coming up the stairs. And so the conversation goes like this. Well, and I said, well, what? He says, well, do you know her? And I said, yeah, I know her. Well, what is her name? I said, Hayes. Now I can tell he was getting a little perturbed with my little short answers. Hayes who? I said, Hayes, oldest mother. Now I know that those beverages kicked in because he said, who the hell is Otis? And I said, I looked at him like, you don't know? Otis Williams from the Temptations. You should have saw the look on his face. He was like, you talking about the movie, The Temptations? And I said, yeah, what else? Well, he ended up walking away, talking about, I done watched that movie way too many times. I know y'all probably thinking so too. Yeah, and I have. I have seen that movie at least 100 times. And I have to say that I actually thought I knew her. And the reason why I did not identify Hayes as such was because I hadn't seen her in about 2 years. So it was just like seeing an old friend. There was Hayes on the screen. I didn't know Hayes was in any other movies. I should have known, but I hadn't seen Hayes. And I was very happy to see her and surprised all at the same time. So even though I could not relax during the movie because I stressed myself out over who she was, they say laughter is a form of medicine. So we were able to laugh it off and still have a relaxing evening. And that just goes to show that laughter, relaxation, and things come in all forms. And so I enjoyed it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Now that you know the Temptations is one of my favorite groups, I have another story about the Temptations. Coming up in the Motown era, like most people have in the city of Detroit when you were kids, we used to have talent shows. One of the mothers that lived just doors from us would allow all us kids to come over there. It was a way of keeping us in the backyard back when kids used to play in the backyard. And there would be the boys and the girls. And you know, the boys always like to emulate the Temptations. Remember the Temptation Walk? And the girls would like to be the Supremes. Stop in the name of love. And so I was a Supreme. And the boys were the Temptations. And we would practice, and then at the end of the week, we would put on a talent show. Sometimes other parents would come down and watch us. But it was just something basically to get the kids involved and to do something constructive. We would have Kool-Aid sale, we would have lemonade, we would have candy and little treats that were provided for us. I don't think we really sold anything. This was just something the parents donated just to have us have something to do. And that's what we did as a time of passing time away. Well, when I got a little older, I had always wanted to go see the Temptations. And I'm not really sure why I never saw them in their heyday. I had seen other groups, but I never saw the Temptations. I saw Earth, Wind, and Fire. I saw a whole bunch of other groups of people that I had seen because I had attended concerts, but never the Temptations. Well, in 2010, 2011, I had my opportunity. It was called a Goodies, an Oldies But Goodies concert. And it was at Pine Knob. And it was a group of ladies. It was about 4 of us. And we were looking forward to it, especially me, because I really wanted to see the Temptations. And finally, I was going to get my opportunity. So we had grabbed up our snacks, our blankets, and got together our drinks. And we got there early enough where we could have a good old time. And we did. We laid out our blanket. We staked out a place that was center stage, big screen to the left, big screen to the right, and we were midway. Now, we still were far enough from the stage where you really couldn't focus in on their face. But that's okay because you would be able to see the screens. And that's what we did. We watched the screens while they had some advertisement and some groups up there. There were other groups that day. The Temptations were just a headliner. The headliner, I believe it was Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, or either it was Harold Melvin or the Blue Notes. You know how groups break up as they did back, still do today, but it was those two groups or one of those two groups along with someone else. But my focus were the Temptations. So that's what we were there for. Now, just before they come out, they go through a melody of songs. And so just before the Temptations came out, they put up on the big screen and they were flashing pictures of them and they were playing this melody of songs. And people got all excited. They were jumping up, including us. They were getting up off the ground. They were clapping because we knew we were in for a treat. Finally, I was getting a chance to see the Temptations. Now, I do understand that time has passed. This was not the original group. So I'm not quite sure what I was expecting, but I was expecting a show regardless of what it was. And that's what I was there for. And as they were singing and clapping, and finally the announcer says, "Now help me welcome to the stage, the Tempting Temptations." Yay! So we're all clapping. I mean, really getting excited, jumping up and down. And as I waited for them to come out on stage, in my mind, I'm thinking they're going to come out like they usually do, running. And then they're going to hit that microphone and they're going to start clapping. They're going to kick their legs. They're going to do their little routine, spin around. None of that happened. None of it. They slowly walked out. One or two may have been on a cane, behind each other, sat on the stools that were behind the microphone, and they picked up their microphones and started to sing. All I could think of was, oh no, these are not the Temptations no more. Shamefully, I have to admit, I could not watch them. So I turned to the side and just listened to the music and pretend like I was watching the Temptation movie. Yes, I had to go back to the movie and think about those boys because you see, to me, I had seen that movie so many times that they were the Temptations. And you know what's really good about it? They don't age. Yeah, I've aged just like everybody else, but the Temptations don't age when I turn on that movie. And so what I came up to the conclusion is that's another form of entertainment to relax at home. No lines, no ticket sales, no stress. We get our snacks together, we get our favorite drinks together, we cozy on up in our lawn chairs, or not our lawn chairs, but our recliners. We get our remote control. We sit back, we pop on YouTube, and I can watch any group I want to see in their heyday. So I have watched The Temptations. I've watched all of these groups, the Four Tops. I've watched Otis Redding. We go all the way back to the Spinners. You name it, they are on YouTube, and we have a wonderful concert. Isaac Hayes is the bomb. I'm telling you, none of them have aged. If you go back there, you'll get a chance to see and enjoy those concerts. Oh, and I can't forget the Five Heartbeats. I know. Don't tell me. The Five Heartbeats is a movie. Just like The Temptations, it's a drama about the lives of multiple entertainers. But in this mind, they are real, and I go to their concert all the time as well. It helps relieve my stress. I'm in a relaxed atmosphere. It gives me the opportunity to rejuvenate and to work another week. That's how I live for the weekend. Thank you.
5. And that story was by Pam Jones. Such a wonderful storyteller. Didn't you enjoy that? I did. And thanks again for coming to the Detroit Association of Black Storytellers' 4th Friday Story Hour. Spring is the season of rejuvenation. Come rejuvenate with Dabs. And thanks again to our wonderful storytellers, Leah Rich, C. McKenzie, and Pam Jones. And by the way, May 27th is our season 2 finale. You don't want to miss this. More details in just a moment, because we have something special planned. Sending it back to the studio, I'm Jatu Gray, president and host, saying good night and pleasant dreams.
Thank you for attending tonight's program presented by Detroit Association of Black Storytellers. All rights of Dad's 4th Friday Story Hour is a copyright of Detroit Association of Black Storytellers and cannot be rebroadcasted or re-recorded without the written permission and a written consent of the Detroit Association of Black Stories Incorporated. If you missed any of tonight's performance, you can tune into Dab's podcast for a replay of this broadcast on buzzsprouts.com, or come to the Detroit Association of Black Storytellers YouTube page right here and watch the entire program again. If you live in the Detroit area and have interest in becoming a storyteller, please contact Dabs at dabstorytellers@gmail.com. That's dabstorytellers@gmail.com, or call 313-442-3227. That's 313-442-3227. If you happen to live outside of the Detroit area and are interested in becoming a storyteller, please visit the National Association of Black Storytellers website or call 410-947-1117. That's 410-947-1117. Or email them at questions@nabsinc.org. That's questions@nabsinc.org. NABS will connect with you and a storyteller association in a city near you. Hello, everyone. The Detroit Association of Black Storytellers are so pleased you joined us. Spring is the season for rejuvenation. Come rejuvenate with Dabs. Join us next month for our season 2 finale as we bring you another exciting story hour. And this will be something you will not want to miss. It is going to be something special. We got our own thing. That's the title of it. Friday, May 27th. Concert is at 7 p.m. Doors open at 6:55. Right here on Detroit Association of Black Storytellers YouTube page. We will have 3 amazing storytellers: James Graham, Larry Castleberry, with your host, Master Storyteller Ivory Weems. Take a minute and subscribe to this YouTube page so that you never miss this program, starting time, or any other new content we may post. Subscribing is free. Again, thank you for joining us. Spring is the season of rejuvenation, and come rejuvenate with Dabs, with stories by master storytellers Chiquita McKenzie, Leah Rich, and Pam Jones, with your host, Mama John 2. Our music director is Michelle McKinney. Our production engineer is Jasmine Ross. Our production director is Tone Ross. Program director is Larry Castleberry. Along with the Detroit Association of Black Storytellers, we thank you for attending the Dad's Fourth Friday Story Hour. See everyone Friday, May 27th, 2022, 7 p.m. for season 2 finale. It will be something you definitely will not want to miss. With the men of Dads bringing you, we've got our own thing. Please be safe. Peace and blessings to you all. Until next time, Ashe.